Are you a homeowner looking for a smarter way to manage your finances? The Sharp Mortgage Team will help you declare your independence from debt this July. Imagine leveraging your home's equity to pay bills or finance significant life events. A home equity line of credit, or HELOC, makes managing your debt easier and more efficient. The Sharp Mortgage Team specializes in refinancing home loans, offering tailored solutions that put your financial goals within reach. Why stress with the burden of high-interest debt when you can simplify and save? Seize the opportunity to steer your financial future in the right direction by contacting the experts at the Sharp Mortgage Team. Start your journey toward financial freedom today by visiting their website at sharpmortgageteam.com. Remember, your home could be the key to a more secure and prosperous tomorrow. The Sharp Mortgage Team, where your financial well-being is their priority.
This is the Triad Podcast Network.
Welcome. We are at the table with Triad Foodies. I'm Christy Meyer. I'm the author of the blog triadfoodies.com, and I'm also a food writer for Yes Weekly. So you can catch my column occasionally, now that I'm not always writing every single week at Yes Weekly, but you will always find me at triadfoodies.com and on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Triad Foodies. We're very excited today to be with Peyton Smith of the one and only Mission Pizza Napoletana. They're located at 707 Trade Street Northwest in downtown Winston-Salem. And we have a chef's table on Wednesday, February 13th. So whenever you hear this podcast, hopefully you got to attend that chef's table, which sold out, I kid you not, in basically 8 hours. Maybe even less, maybe more like 5. And I asked Peyton, because he said, let's just keep it small and intimate, at like 16 or so, plus my husband and myself. And do you want to make it any bigger? Because I've got like a list of 10 people who are demanding to get in. And he said, nope, got to keep it this intimate, small number. So I'm sorry, you guys, if you didn't get in. I mean, I tried Peyton. Anyway, we're here to talk to Peyton and get a little bit more just insight on what makes him tick, what makes this pizza geek all about the pizza, why he likes Mission Pizza Napoletana called Mission Pizza Napoletana instead of just Mission Pizza, and where he got this drive to make really the best pizza in the city, in the Triad even. Often imitated, never duplicated. So welcome, Peyton.
Hi, thanks. I'm happy to be here.
You know, Peyton, I always say, he seems like he's kind of not going to talk to you, but you really are quite poetic when you talk about pizza and life in general, and you're so affable, and you're not nearly as intimidating as you try to come off as.
Well, I don't know. I don't think I try. I'm 43, so whatever the veneer is pretty much the veneer at this point. Not that I can't soften it sometimes. If you ask me questions, I'll talk.
Okay.
Other than that,
you'll respond.
If you ask me, I'll get animated if you ask the right questions. But you're right. I probably won't volunteer a whole lot on first blush.
Yeah, well, your face, when you come into Mission Pizza Napoletana, I'm going to say MPN, or I'll
MPN's
get tripped
cool.
up.
Like I said, as long as the N is there.
As long as the N, because it's important,
yes.
And we're going to talk a little bit about that too. So let's talk a little bit about your background and growing up, because I know you're from this area. And let's talk about how trips to Naples and things like that really, stirred this longing for you to create the kind of pizza that you create.
Sure. I conceived this place in sort of mid to late 2007, and we were pretty close to building a restaurant in 2008, like signing some loan papers, signing a lease, and thank God we didn't do that, because September of 2008 happened, and good luck. Everybody's world was turned upside down a little bit. And so that's sort of where starting Fornomoto came in, and then we got here in 2014. But initially, it was like I was at a sort of the right time in my life to be thinking about like the bigger questions and what I do and can I do something good for myself and put something good in the world and do something that I believe I can be good at. And for me, it was always the only real passions I ever had were soccer and food, and both really for the same reasons. And I sort of exhausted any opportunity to be a soccer player. I didn't want to be a soccer coach. And so I knew I had to do something with food. And it was, in my mind, it's like, well, how do you do this? Like, it's notoriously difficult, notoriously failure-ridden. How do I do something that mitigates all the risk as much as possible, and do something that I believe I could make myself good at? And I just came back to this trip. Was in France and Italy and Greece, and stopped and had pizza in Naples. I didn't have any perspective at the time, so I couldn't tell you where I was, what pizzeria I ate at. But it was very much a eureka moment for me to eat this thing that was ostensibly the same thing I had eaten my whole life, but was light years different. So really characterized by just being fresh and clean and bright, and the milk, the cheese tastes like milk, for instance, which is a novel concept. The tomatoes taste like fresh tomato. That was bolstered by some experience I had in the early part of 2000s. I was in Brooklyn for a little while. I lived with my brother, and some of the coal places were doing really good stuff. Everything wasn't blown up back then as it is now, with every type of media in the world, social media, XYZ. But the coal-fired guys, it's very similar in a lot of ways to Neapolitan. The foundations in a lot of ways are Neapolitan, but still bright, clean, fresh tasting pizza. And I thought, okay, this is doable. Like, can we both be... Can I build something that's both sort of part of the biggest food category in America, which is not a bad idea, but also create distinction if I prove to be good? And so I thought that's a combo that works. So. And
how did you then learn the tricks of the trade? Still learning, I get it.
Of course, yeah. That's the beauty of it, is that we can always get better. Initially, you just do like the deepest dive on the internet you can possibly imagine. There wasn't a lot of dialogue about Neapolitan pizza at the time. There were very, very few Neapolitan pizzerias in America, proper Neapolitan pizzerias in America at the time in 2007, 2008. So it was a little weird. I got in touch with a guy. When you're like 12-page results deep on Google, it's like deep, man. And I got in touch with a guy named Roberto Caporuscio, who has since become a friend of mine. He's sort of really one of the sort of leading sort of figureheads, mentors, sort of role models in Neapolitan pizza in America. I met him when he was at a little place in New Jersey. I met him in late 2007. It really started in earnest, my real education, prior to just figuring stuff out the best you can at home with, all the wrong means and all the wrong equipment, is when I started Fornomoto. So that was really good, because it was a very small scale project. I was able to demonstrate some efficacy with the risk is like a car payment. It's not.
So it's like trial
nothing
by
crazy.
Food truck.
Trial by food truck or trial by food trailer, yeah. Mm-hmm. And in that format, also, it's a little, to me at least, it's a little more acceptable in that format to basically ask people to pay me while I learn on the job. I wouldn't want to do that in a restaurant. I don't think that's terribly kosher.
Little did they know back in the day that's what they were doing.
Yeah, and so it was cool. So you just learn by trial and error. You learn by understanding the foundations of the technique. You learn by things that you see or things that you eat. And now the way I learn is, it's very different. So we're always trying new things here, but the foundations of the things that I learn or the ways we grow here now are, I'm in a circle of, it's a very small group of people number-wise, but now it's just we're in a different place. So my peer group now are people like Roberto and people like John Arena, Michele D'Amelio, and I don't know if you were here that Tuesday last year. Michele and Giancarlo were here. We made pizzas. So the Caputo guys, Orlando Foods guys. So now, like, if I have a question or if I want to learn something, I just call like the best pizza makers in America, or when I'm in Vegas, like that's what we do. Giulio Adriani. We hang out and we talk pizza. So, that's just what we do.
Sounds like all these Italian last names who probably have like this legacy. And Peyton
Smith. Yeah, Smith.
Smith.
Peyton. Very hard T.
So are they, and we'll talk about some of the accolades and things like that, because I know that you've been sort of humbled by some of the writing and things like that. We'll talk about meeting the mayor in NYC back in the summer. But how cool is that you've been doing this for like 10 years after sort of an aha moment, and these guys have probably generations behind them who led the way, I guess.
Yeah.
So behind them, I had the, I don't know, either way, but they've got that, and you're kind of self-taught.
I'm self-taught. I didn't teach. I didn't like grow up in a pizzeria. I didn't work I've worked in food service in every capacity before I opened the restaurant, and even more so deliberately when I knew I was going to do this, or when I was committed to it, and. But yeah, being able to, talk shop with these guys it's really remarkable. It just to be like anything, whatever it is that you're into, when you're able to do it with people who do it at a high level, and everyone is geeked up about what they are doing, and everyone's enjoying it. It's a really special thing to be a part of, and it feels good. It pays off in your work. It makes makes the work more rewarding and more personal. You develop relationships with these people that become a big part of your life. It's awesome. It's cool. It's very cool.
Who's ready for movie night? Our friends at the Ginther Group Real Estate are proud to sponsor another season of innovation and cinema at Bailey Park in downtown Winston-Salem's Innovation Quarter. The next film is Blade, starring Wesley Snipes, on Friday, August 16th. Bring your chair or blanket to Bailey Park for a great night of cinema from Aperture and beverages and food from a variety of local vendors. Pre-film fun begins at 6:30 p.m. and the movie begins at dark. These magical movie nights are made possible by the Ginther Group, the real estate experts we trust and showcase right here on the Triad Podcast Network. Check their social media for info on each upcoming movie night. And for your real estate needs, call 336-283-8689 or visit theginthergroup.com. Buying, selling, investing, or just learning. Whatever you need, start now. And like me, you can become a Ginther Group client for life.
Life is full of celebrations. Birthdays, holidays, life milestones, and so much more. And who has been helping generations of families celebrate these events? Our friends at Dewey's Bakery. And even if you aren't planning for something in the near future, you don't have to wait to enjoy something savory and delicious from Dewey's. Maybe you just need something to get you through your Mondays. Drop by every Monday for a free Cake Square Day. No purchase necessary. Just come celebrate the start of a new week. So, if you're hearing this ad on a Monday and you're in your car, reset that GPS and get to one of their 3 Triad locations immediately in Winston-Salem at Thruway and Renolda Manor, plus one in Greensboro at Friendly Shopping Center. And any day of the week, you can find the perfect item with fast and easy ordering options at local.deweys.com. Plus, Dewey's does so much to help celebrate our community. To date, they've given back over $4 million to local schools, churches, and other nonprofits. Your next celebration isn't complete without something special from Dewey's Bakery. Dewey's. Celebrate every day.
So let's get into some of the geekdom, if you will, and talk about what makes a pizza Napoletana. And for those crazy people who haven't been here, I know there are a few this is on their bucket list. Mission Pizza Napoletana on the bucket list.
Hopefully.
How about that? That's
We'll
cool. Let's talk about what to expect from the pizza. And, front and center here is this 900, 1,000 degree oven honed from
the as they say, the soil of Mount Vesuvius.
There we go. So let's talk about the oven, because that's your pride and joy, I'm sure. Yeah. And then what beauty comes from it. Sometimes, and a lot of times, it's not just pizza. I know our chef's table people are going to.
There's some ugly that comes out of that oven. It just goes in the bin. So to your point about how do you find out about this stuff? How do you educate yourself? How in 2007 do you find Stefano Ferrara? Good luck. Like, it's insane. But yeah, by hook or crook. So this guy named Stefano Ferrara has become a good friend of mine. He's a really special guy. He comes from a family of pizza oven builders. His dad's dad, a couple generations of his family. And he's been building ovens like this for the American market for probably about 10 years. He has a cool workshop in a little town in Pozzuoli, which is like West Naples. And interestingly, he never had a workshop before. So traditionally what would happen is, in fact, let's talk about Pizzeria Brandy. So Pizzeria Brandy is the pizzeria that's really affiliated with the narrative and the myth and the legend of Pizza Margherita. So presumably this pizzaiolo named Raffaele Esposito invented the Pizza Margherita for Margherita of Savoy, and he worked at this pizzeria that's now Pizzeria Brandy. They have an oven. Stefano built one of their ovens that they use today, and the way he would do it is, well, you're an oven builder. You just ship all the materials to the place and you build it on site. And as it emerged that there was a market to ship ovens, or there's a market in Japan, there's a market in the Americas, then for the first time he actually built a workshop. And so he builds these ovens in his home, in his workshop, puts them on a container, and we put it in place. It's like a 6,000-pound behemoth. We've run it very hot, about ideally 850 to 900 degrees on the deck. The oven does what we want, imparts the right types of heat and the right types of cooking to the pizza. And ideally with Neapolitan pizza, you're going to get something that's very light, almost delicate, sturdy enough to hold the toppings it requires, but soft enough to still be a little delicate. The main concepts are a nice, airy, fragrant cornicione or crust, and then everything else just balanced off of that. So we start with a good dough. And then the toppings hopefully are light and fresh and balanced, so we don't want to overwhelm it with any type of topping. If we have multiple toppings, we want to make sure it's, like I said, it's well designed and it's curated so that we don't overwhelm the pizza. It's originally meant it's originally a street food, as you could imagine. More so than any other style of pizza, it demands to be eaten immediately, fresh out of the oven, because really it's like a perfect thing that gets less perfect the longer it sits there. It's a little crazy to do that in a typical restaurant setting, but that's just the way things work.
And you like to say that it doesn't sit heavy on the gut a lot of pizza.
No. Part of that is the way we produce the product is, you can go to a lot of places And pizza can be a heavy meal. It can be a heavy dish. Ideally, with a proper Neapolitan pizza, it's going to be very light. You could crush a whole one if you wanted, and you would feel fine. I mean, at the moment, an hour later, whatever. I mean, it's a more than reasonable amount of food for one person to eat the whole thing. But very light, very digestible. We use very, very little yeast, an incredibly small amount of yeast, and we use a long fermentation to create the characteristics that we want, which is incredibly light, soft, enough strength to be pliable, and to be to give it the sturdiness and it requires. But yeah, super light on the stomach, super light.
Yeah. Doesn't that make y'all want pizza, like Mission Pizza Napoletana right now, MPN? I'm just playing with him. He knows I'm saying the whole name just to be silly. But you guys, there's some other things coming out of this oven that are not just pizza. And I, for one, can vouch for the cauliflower appetizer that is like a beast. I mean, he in an article in the interview that I did with Peyton at yesweekly.com, and you can go back and just search for Mission Pizza Possible. It's the title of the column or the article from a few weeks back. He said that this appetizer, cauliflower, has taken on a life of its own.
Yeah.
And it is delicious. It's nice and charred. It has balsamic glaze. It has goat cheese and herbs. It's just, oh my gosh, it's the best thing ever.
I mean, I like the dish, obviously. I can't sell food that I don't personally like. But that dish is really crazy. I told you, it's taken on a life of its own. I think initially, I won't call it, I won't call it a throwaway dish. It was never a throwaway dish. But I thought, what can we do that no one is doing? Remember, this is in 2014, so no one sold cauliflower.
No.
But I thought, what can we do that no one's doing? Can we do it in a way that's simple? Use the oven and highlight what the oven can do in a simple preparation. And this concept of sort of like, why don't we take this cauliflower and then we can wedge it, and then the way we cook it and the way we bake it and or fire it in the oven. And for us, it's just, can it be very simple? So I like to stick to as few ingredients as possible to get the desired results. I don't want to muck up the food with a bunch of stuff. That's my personal point of view. And then we just want the food to speak for itself. Mm-hmm. And that dish has been, I can't believe that, it just went somewhere that was pretty amazing.
You can't ever take that off.
No, and I don't want to. It's a great dish. I like it. And it has become a signature item for us very quick. I think a lot of it also is the way the dish looks when we plate it. It's just one of those dishes that, like, you'll whisk it past a table and the guest will go like, what the heck is that? Like, it's kind of striking because we invert the head and the stalk is upright, and it's this contrast of like char and white and caramelized cauliflower.
So good.
So that dish has been really good for us.
Yes. And you have, so more than that, you do fresh pasta when you can?
Yeah, we do. Occasionally we'll do like a rolled pasta. For a long time we've been doing our cavatelli here in-house with a mix of that we like of double zero and semolina, and gives it the characteristic that we want. Extruded pastas we don't do here. I'm pretty partial to this bucatini. And otherwise, what's the last time? Last time we made, we rolled our own noodles when we did the lobster Nduja tagliatelle, the fra diavola. We did that. We ran that as a special a few times a couple months ago. My attitude on that is, in terms of making stuff, what do we make in-house? What do we not make in-house? If I can do it better than the best guy I can buy it from, I'll do it. In a restaurant, as you can imagine, there's all kinds of concerns and all kinds of things that go into the decision of what do you make, what do you not. At this point, I'm not any better an extruded pasta maker than the families that have been doing it for 100 years. so I'll leave that up to them. I buy my cheese from this guy in Charlotte. He's a much better cheesemaker than me. The milk comes from Hickory Hill, South Carolina. So that's a local, really delicious, high-quality product. So, I think going to restaurants that make their food, although, we make our food here, right? So, but, things like pasta, or I make my own cheese, or, I don't know. Those are interesting. Those are always interesting things. But we like to fool around with pasta every now and then.
That's cool. What is? Do you have a favorite menu item? Besides pizza, obviously.
Pizza marinara. So if anyone asks me what's my favorite pizza, the answer is always pizza marinara. It's perfect, clean, no cheese to mess up the pizza, frankly. If you like a little maybe pecorino or Parmigiano post-bake would be nice. That would be a Cosacca. You can ask for that. I'll make it for you. Otherwise, probably bucatini alla matriciana. That's a dish that we've done probably for a solid 3 years now. I can't see it really going anywhere. We do it a little bit differently. I'm pretty much a traditionalist for the most part. So the foundations of our bucatini are very standard with the guanciale, but I like to add a little bit of sopressata late in the batch just to give it a little more different texture and different little character going on. But that's a dish, too, that we sort of have modified. So we had one version of that dish that I was very, very happy with. And I understood the dish enough, and I said, okay, this is good, this works, and I'm pleased with this. And then last time I was in Rome, not last time, but 2 times ago, I went to this place for the first time, Trattoria al Moro, and they gave us the alla matriciana with more pecorino than you could possibly fathom you would put on the dish. And you'd think to yourself, well, this is not going to be good. This is going to be like so foobar. And then you eat it and it just blows you away. So the one thing we did, as soon as I came back from that, I was like, we're not remotely putting enough cheese on this dish. Like the mouthfeel and the fat, the unctuous, fatty mouthfeel we had always. But then just said, okay, this makes it better for sure. But that dish is great because it's fun to eat. I love pasta because it's not just it's delicious, but it's fun to eat. It feels good in your mouth. It's fun to chew it. The textural component is fun. And the thing I always say about the bucatini, if your lips aren't coated in pork fat when you eat it, then we've done it wrong.
Man.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's going to be at the chef's table on Wednesday.
It's all about fat and mouthfeel and umami with that dish. It's perfect dish.
Oh my goodness. Sounds so good.
It's time to get serious about your financial future. It's never too early, but it could be too late to get started. And that's oftentimes the hardest part, getting started. How much do I save? Where do I invest? Do I save for college or retirement? How much for each? And who do I talk to about it all? Okay, we'll keep things simple for now and help you answer the last one. We recommend you begin with a local financial advisor, and that's Jennifer Johnson of 3 Magnolias Financial Advisors. She'll sit down with you for a complimentary introductory consultation and go over all of your questions. Get started on the path to achieving your financial goals. Visit 3magnoliasfinancialadvisors.com or call 336-701-1600. Get comfortable with your financial future. 3 Magnolias Financial Advisors. Retirement, financial planning, and investments. Securities offered through Cetera Advisor Networks, LLC, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through 3 Magnolias Financial Advisors. 3 Magnolias Financial Advisors and Cetera Advisor Networks are not affiliated. Cetera is under separate ownership from any other named entity.
So sometimes, I dive in a little bit and see what you might be tooling around for day after tomorrow's chef's table.
Yeah.
We can't use it to tease people to buy a ticket.
Yeah.
So, and I haven't had anybody call me and say they've got a gluten allergy. Thank the Lord. Wouldn't that be interesting?
Make it work.
I know you could. So, what are you kind of thinking?
Well, to be frank, I think that bucatini alla matriciana is always on the list.
Okay.
I assume, I don't know. My guess is that maybe half the people have been here, and maybe half of the people have never been here who are on this, who are going to be here Wednesday. I don't know that. It's just a random guess. What do I know?
We'll raise hands.
But we'll see. But I find that that's a dish that unless you're a real enthusiast, you maybe don't order, or you like to stick to pizza here, which is fine. Or I don't know, it's a pain in the ass to say, so maybe you don't, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of reasons people don't go to a certain dish. That dish to me is a killer, so we'll do that for sure. Awesome. I like to do that. We'll probably do it as family style as possible on Wednesday. That's my style, as you know. And given the format, we'll do it on like a really beautiful rigatoni rather than the bucatini, just for the sake of the service. I think makes it just a little bit easier and not quite a mess, and no less satisfying, frankly, than the bucatini noodle. I've got a really cool sort of seasonal citrus and sort of citrus and savory thing going on that I think we'll do that'll be a lot of fun, and people will like. Well, whatever this face I'm making is now, they'll make that face.
Kind of a
scrunched up face. Yeah, scrunch face. Yeah, people will definitely be like, what in the world? But if we do it right, hopefully they'll like it. And the rest is sort of a surprise. So.
Okay, good. Well, we like surprises because that's what chef's tables are all about. Let's go a different direction because we talked about food so much. So what are you doing when you're not cooking? In the restaurant?
Like fixing toilets and...
I know, when on your off days, the owner's got to...
Yeah, I mean...
Do the things.
Yeah, it's all the things. It's all the things. And the biggest is, the running sort of the fun part of the restaurant. It's not. I didn't think about this overtly. I'm not sure why it didn't stick out to me when I was starting this, but the parallels between doing what I do and being a soccer player are absolutely linear, like complete mirror images of each other. It's really remarkable. So that part of it is really fun. It's like we train and we practice all the time in the dark and no one watches, and then we have like 2 hours to show up and perform, and if we suck, people tell us right away. If we do good, people tell us right away. It's amazing. You go through all that. The hardest part is all the other stuff, that just comes with the territory. That can be. This isn't a complaint. It's just the way it is. But that's I think the most burdensome part is just admin and I'm terrible at that stuff also. But just stuff like that, just having all the other stuff in order, getting all the bills paid, doing all the admin work, which is always more than it seems like it should be. Mm-hmm. And then Sundays, I just hang out now. So I've dedicated pretty much there's one day of the week I absolutely will not work whatsoever, no matter what, within reason. I spend a lot of time in Chapel Hill with Rebecca because she's there now. She's in med school, smoking it. So I'm very pleased for her. And so it's easy for me to get there. And she's got a little, her time's a little more urgent than mine lots of times because she just has her face in a book all day. And so I'm happy to go there. I spend a lot of time with her, and I spend a lot of time on the road. So whether it's a food and wine event, or I'll be in Las Vegas, and then I'll be in Seattle with some other pizza guys, and probably back to Naples in September for Pizza Village again. And so I stay on the road doing pizza stuff. So that's how I spend my time.
You going back to New York? Hang out with the mayor?
Yeah, maybe. I'll definitely email his office, see if he wants to get pizza. That was a lot of fun. So we met him at New York Pizza Festival. Obviously, we'll be back there. I believe it's the weekend is October 12th. October 12 and 13, I believe, is the right weekend. So last year in October, first weekend of October, Caputo put on this thing called New York Pizza Village. It's basically a mini version of Napoli Pizza Village. To give you an idea of the pizza culture in Naples, it would be, imagine if the barbecue culture in Lexington times 1,000, and in a city of 3 million people, and then you can scratch the surface of what the pizza culture is like there. So Pizza Village is a huge 10-day celebration. It's basically the Oktoberfest of pizza. It's a remarkable collection of just pizzerias on the street, just doing their thing. New York Pizza Festival was a brainchild of Antimo Caputo, among others, to sort of recreate this same concept in America. And what better place to do it than New York, with all of its attendant sort of publicity and street cred. And there's obviously a huge Italian culture there, which helps. And just sort of spreading the gospel of pizza, so to speak. But yeah, we met the mayor, Bill de Blasio. We met him there last year. Came over, spent some time in our booth, a long time in our booth, probably like 10 or 15 minutes. Really interesting guy. I mean, I don't know his politics. I'm not from New York, so I'm not that educated about his politics. But he was a really interesting guy, took a sincere interest in what we do. And every opportunity, I felt like I was trying to be polite and, give him every opportunity to leave if that's what he wanted to do, or if that's what his handler wanted him to do, all that stuff. He was like, no, I'm good. Just kept asking questions. It was fun. Initially, the reason we got together is he was walking down the street this is on Crescent Avenue, and everyone has a banner, obviously, that sort of promotes your pizzeria, tells the guests where you're from. It's like it's like a big street festival. So it's like, imagine how Rock the Block was, or anything, where there's just, everyone has a tent and you just show up, hand them your ticket, get your pizza, that kind of deal. And he's walking down the street and he looks at our banner and he says, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, sort of bemused, and says, who the hell does this in North Carolina?
You do.
So Fred goes, well, this is my guy Peyton. He does it. And then that was it. He made pizza with us. He launched a pizza in the oven. That was pretty exciting. Yeah, we had a great time. It was very, very fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love talking to you about pizza. Is there anything else you want to add?
No. I'm excited for Wednesday. I think that'll be a lot of fun. So I'm glad that we're doing that. It's frankly, I'm trying to expand my own comfort zone a little bit. So that should be a lot of fun. I look forward to that. And then, the last thing, really the biggest thing for me is, I think just in general, it's a really fun, interesting time to be on North Trade Street. We've been getting a lot of love recently, whether it's online or whether it's just the number of people that come, and particularly the number of repeat clientele that we have. And so it's really nice to be in a place, I think for us, we really want to do what we want to do, and in the general parameter of we want everyone to have fun and we want to offer good hospitality, but I hold very tightly to the concept that we want to retain our own identity, and for people to give us the freedom to do that, which is not typically the normal thing in Winston-Salem, probably from a food standpoint, is really rewarding, and it's nice, and I appreciate it. We have a great staff right now that just smokes it. It's not an easy business, and everyone is everyone rightfully wants to be happy and have a great time, and running a restaurant in peak times is like, what's the phrase? It's like trying to build an airplane while you're in the air. I forget whose phrase that was. So it can be a little bit crazy, and but I think on par, hopefully we get the job done. So that's about it, man. It's a good place. It's a good time to be in Winston. I'm really happy with what's happening here. So it'll be an interesting year, I think.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Of course, if you want to be happy, you can come to 707 Trade Street, Northwest here in downtown Winston-Salem at Mission Pizza Napoletana. Thank you, Peyton Smith, owner, chef, administrative person, who does all the things here in front of the very hot oven, busy as he can be. And hopefully he'll have so much fun at our chef's table this week that he'll want to have another one soon enough so the other 20 or so people can get in the door. Again, I'm Christy Meyer with Triad Foodies, and you've been listening to At the Table with Triad Foodies. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to this episode on the Triad Podcast Network. For tons more local content, find our entire library on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Google Play, or Stitcher. And if you want to support the show and those that contribute, please take a moment to give us a rating, 5 stars preferably, and review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, spread the word and interact with us about what you've heard. You can find us at Triad Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
This is the Triad Podcast Network.